Hello, homies, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangouts. I am so excited because we have the absolutely fabulous Leiah Golden back today. Welcome, Leiah.
Thank you, Eugene. Thank you for having me. And you're also the fabulous one for doing these amazing podcasts with all these great homeopaths from all around the world.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we had Leiah on at episode 23, and by the time this one goes on, it'll probably be about episode 130. So it was over 100
Wow.
episodes.
Wow.
And just for our listeners, Leiah's episode number 23 was actually my top episode. It was on spike proteins because she's a brave lady speaking about
Mm-hmm.
things that other people are shying away from, and obviously got that
Mm-hmm.
great example from her dad, Dr. Isaac. That's been, such a beacon of light for all of us. And it's wonderful to see you like trailblazing right there on your own as well. Now, it's been
Thank
a
you.
very interesting year in the clinic. And by the time this goes out, it's probably going to be
Yes.
about in November. Interesting year in the
Mm-hmm.
clinic. We've been seeing lots of things we've never seen before, all sorts of, yeah, people getting COVID once, twice, some people 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty interesting to treat. What has your experience been?
Yeah, what a year. What a couple of years, like what a few years it's been.
Mm,
But this year, you are right. Well, it's been good because I've had a lot of experience. Obviously, as homeopaths, we don't treat or prevent COVID, but managing people through their illnesses.
oh, yeah, that's
So
right.
I've been managing a lot of people through their viral loading. In terms of managing, in terms of managing viruses, one in particular, I found that actually the blends worked the best. So it's always really good. I'm very classically trained. Oh God, my dad's going to hear this now. I'm very classically trained. So I always will go for a single remedy that we all love, the simplex, the similimum, always love
Mm,
that. But I really found with COVID itself, in the actual management of the acute symptoms, I really had a lot better response to actually a blend, like the more French way of doing it. So the complexes. And just to name my top remedies, I would say that I found worked the best in combo was definitely Bryonia. And by the way, I was going pretty like 200s, but then going straight to 1Ms with a lot of
mm.
people. So I was usually doing a combo of Bryonia, Rustox, Aconite, Belladonna, Drosera, Hepsolf. I was going a bit crazy. And then I would put homeopathic penicillin in it, which is one of the Sanum products, because yes, it's a virus, but the homeopathic penicillins, I actually love this product. It's called Notikel by Sanum. It is brilliant. And I don't always take it on its own, but I add it into blends when
Mm.
something's getting a little bit tricky, or I'm seeing it go to the lungs. And that was the big problem with like, look, let's be real. I think most of us had COVID and we all sort of got through it and went, oh, it wasn't as terrible as we assumed it should be. But then in saying that, look, I never take away from the people who did not do well and obviously passed away, having it.
Mm.
So, but majority of us got through it pretty well. So yeah, I found the complex was the best. I'd always put penicillin in to stop it going deeper so it doesn't go to that pneumonia and end up in hospital.
Mm.
And then I also put in Basilinum 10M. One of my favorite remedies. Love this remedy. Sometimes 1M. I was still doing individual prescribing, as in if it was a little baby or if it was someone with a lot of pathology, I might
Mm.
not do it as strong. I might just go at 200, but I did match people's sensitivities as well.
Mm.
But definitely, I found the Basilinum to stop it going to the lungs, and everyone who had it got through it. But I have to say, everyone who had it and did not take a lot of Panadol and Nurofen got through it very quickly. Everyone who was advised to go home and alternate Panadol and Nurofen every 4 hours instead of being sick for a week or so, was sick for weeks. I
Mm.
think this is a little controversial. They won't like this. I think Panadol and Nurofen absolutely turned a very simple virus into a very dangerous virus. That level of suppression that I would see, because we love fevers, don't we? Like fevers are good.
Mm.
It's a sign that your immune system, your vital force is going, oh, we better burn this out. We better heat the body up, sweat this pathogen out. So if you start suppressing that from the very beginning and don't let your body sweat out this pathogen, you're
Mm.
going to be sick for a very, very long time. So I found that as soon as people got straight into the homeopathics, particularly with like the Bryonia, the Ars Alb, of course, Ars Alb, fabulous remedy, Ars Alb, Bryonia, the real headachy, the chills, the fever remedies, they tended not to take any painkillers. or suppressive medications, and just got through it within a few days. And yeah, so I really think, unfortunately, it was a virus that should have been a lot more simple, that was just suppressed so deeply with these drugs that normally are not such bad drugs. There's a lot worse drugs out there side effects wise, but in this case they were just very damaging. So yeah, it's been a very interesting one. So that was for the acute treatment. Post-viral has been a whole nother thing, as you would know. I have found the most effective remedy for homeopathic remedy, because obviously I use a lot of supplements. I'm one of these homeopaths who love supplements. I absolutely love them. The right supplements, that is. So, but with the remedy that I found has just been shifting, absolutely knocking it out, is oh God, am I allowed to say this? I'll just say C0v1d. So it's a potency of a virus. Let's just say that. In a 1M potency.
Virus.
It's a popular virus we all like to contract, especially when we go on planes. So so that was that remedy. So a no-so. So that actual giving a potency of it. And I use the DLT, which I guess you can translate what that is. I use the DLT. I found it better than the Omni and all the other ones. More effective, probably because it's the stronger strain. But by giving a potency of that, it just shifted it out. So people get that real, fatigue, malaise. It's almost like they just slip into chronic fatigue, long COVID, call it what you want to. But it's like chronic fatigue, but with more respiratory distress. And that remedy just shifts it off. Because one thing I've really seen, what I feel clinically, is there's certain, it's the vibration of the virus that's the problem. It's not the pathogen, the molecules, anymore, because the body clears them out. When you're testing, you're no longer testing positive because there's no active sort of antibodies enough to be giving a positive test. But that doesn't mean the vibration of that virus is not wreaking havoc with your vital force. And your vital force is what gets you healthy or unwell. So people are doing all this great NAC and vitamin D and all these great supplements, but still having that, really heavy energy holding on, and particularly causing a lot of anxiety as well, and causing a lot of
depression.
And depression. Yes, it really, that's why I asked, isn't it funny? I'm going to sidetrack for 1 second, but I will come back. Isn't it funny that our was really the GE, or genus epidemicus? For anyone who doesn't know homeopathy that well, we have these genus epidemicus, which is like the one remedy that fits a very common disease very well. So our was the GE for this disease. Would you agree? I think it was.
Yeah,
around
absolutely.
The world.
Yeah.
And our, as people might know, is one of our biggest anxiety remedies. And most people who got COVID got really bad anxiety, or it ramped up their pre-existing or dormant anxiety. It sent it through the roof. And I don't think the media obviously helped that either. But it's funny that the GE is such a big, like I use more Ars Alb for anxiety than I do for, gut stuff kind of thing. So I use it more mentally emotional than I do physical. So yeah, there was definitely that big picture, but I thought that's interesting. We should have maybe been taking it prophylactically.
I think some people were taking it prophylactically.
In India they did.
Yeah, in India they did.
But
it was that one.
Yeah, but it was a great remedy, especially with the trills. But yes, going back to the post-viral, it was, that's why I think the potency, the no-so. So I was doing a 1M usually just twice a week for about 4 weeks, sometimes once a week, depending on when people were coming to see me. But the problem was, you really can see this very sort of clear shift between people who are vaccinated that have had COVID and people who are unvaccinated or, preventing it in other ways. Not that there's any of that out there. And so people who, were getting the jab and then getting COVID a few days later or a week later, I feel like they were really struggling to slip out of it. So, and I definitely want to talk about the vaccine reactions, because that's the other side that I've been treating a lot of. I do definitely treat a lot of the of post-COVID, syndrome, so the long COVID, if you want to call it that. But I also treat a lot of the COVID vaccine reactions, and people are coming to me thinking that they're having a post-COVID reaction, but when I take their case, the actual symptoms, these fatigue, the stress, the heart stuff. Oh my gosh, I've never treated so much heart in my life.
The heart stuff.
The heart stuff in young people. It actually started with the vaccine, but sometimes people, the COVID triggered it off even worse. So it's a bit of a chicken and an egg. So I find that if you had the vaccine and maybe multiple doses of it, and then you had COVID, it really ramped it up a lot. So and look, this is not an anti-vax slur. This is not anything, my husband's vaccinated. I've got half my family are vaccinated. My friends are vaccinated. So, I totally respect. I'm very pro-choice. I'm like, you can put into your body what you want to put in.
Yeah.
Just don't ever tell me or my children what to put into their bodies. So I have a lot of my family and friends, a lot of respect for people's choices. But all I can say is what I see clinically. And what I see clinically is, like, all people can react to drugs and medications and diseases and even foods and pollen. We react to things. We all react very differently. So there's no denying that some people have reacted pretty terribly to these vaccines. And luckily, though, homeopathy has a pretty powerful way of clearing this.
It really has. I wonder, Leiah, do you mind if I just quickly wanted to add a couple of things before we go into the responses to the shot itself? But, interestingly, I've been using the Narayani removal of entities a lot.
Wow.
I don't know if you've heard of that remedy.
No, I haven't.
After people have had COVID, because I've had clients that have never had depression in their life suddenly be in such a depressed state since they've had COVID. And we give them this removal of entities remedy, and they will text me like within 24 hours saying something has lifted off me. I feel like myself again.
Isn't that interesting?
And the thing is,
what's actually is it? Can I ask?
Yeah, you can. So, and on episode 60 of the podcast, and I know because you and Nimisha's episodes, and Nimisha Parek talked about Narayani Remedies, your two were the top two all-time episodes on my show. So I remember hers off a hard series, episode 60, and that was Narayani, who was the Swami Narayani in South Africa, and she would do these meditations and things. So that was actually, from what I understand, like a meditation that was sort of like an intention setting that was done into the water that the remedy is made from.
Very dynamic.
Do you know the thing is that I'm the unprejudiced observer. I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. No, these are people who I give a remedy to, and they tell me that this is the stuff that's happening to them. So
that's true.
How I couldn't make it up if I tried. And then repeatedly over and over, people are saying, I've had this lifted off me. And the other thing is, I've just re-listened to a lecture that I actually forgotten about that Manny, Luke, and Misha Norland did together. And Misha actually said the AIDS nosode he has found really helpful for people who keep on relapsing and keep on getting COVID. And if you think of AIDS and, just that dirty outcast type feeling, how many of us have actually felt that way, especially if we haven't been vaccinated, that, we feel like outcasts, we feel like second-class citizens, like we're dirty in some sort of way. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting.
It's so interesting how the media and our governments created a whole different, but they created a symptom picture. Like they gave this disease another symptom, which is shame and lack of freedom. It's amazing how it can happen. The power of placebo.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are like us homeopaths who are fascinated by human behavior and humans and what makes them act and why they do what they do, this whole COVID experiment has just been absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I remember one remedy that Kate Lambrick, my colleague who I work with in the clinic, she was giving Falcon 1M at one stage when we were all locked down and everyone was getting so anxious about just being, because Melbourne, oh my gosh, we were just locked down.
You guys had it tough.
We were the longest lockdown in the world.
Wow.
And in the world, I was like, that just is ridiculous. It's like shocking to hear it. Yeah, we were just locked down for months and months ongoing. And yes, we were giving people Falcon 1M and they were just like, wow, feeling this. Because, Falcon's all about being trapped and caged. And
the peregrine
it's amazing.
Falcon.
Yes.
Yeah. Amazing.
So it's amazing the remedies that have kind of come out from this.
Well, I have to tell you something else. I can't recall if I actually mentioned this to you in your podcast. I have in your previous episode on 23. Yeah. But Death's Head hawkmoth is one of the remedies we prescribe a lot, because the feeling in Death's Head hawkmoth is that feeling delusion. She's being forced to do something against her will. And it's
Yes,
quite a deep, dark remedy. But also, Death's Head hawkmoth is also the moth that is over the mouth on Silence of the Lambs. If you go look at the Silence of the Lamb
stop
poster.
it, you're right.
And in the Novavax
scary.
vaccine was made with moth cells.
No. How interesting.
Oh
my God, I'm writing that one down. Yeah, that is, isn't it amazing? The link.
One.
I love the linking. Yeah, okay. And thank God for homeopathy, because it really, we have never been, I know I've never been this busy from people who have never even used homeopathy before, desperate to get better, because they're just not getting better with the other conventional treatments. And homeopathy, because the nature of this disease, it's a virus. So virus is a lot more dynamic than, say, a bacteria in its nature, in what it affects. And the same with the vaccines. They're a much different vaccine to the old school protein-based ones. So I think this whole pandemic, in its disease and in its, quote unquote treatment, really needed a dynamic medicine to be able to balance it and clear it. And well, hello. We're pretty dynamic. We're pretty dynamic. So it's been a blessing. It's been so good to be able to watch people because I'm getting so many young people coming, as you know, with heart conditions post Pfizer. And it's horrible to see people so active and running around and sporty. And I swear it's like these healthy, amazing, active people that just get absolutely flawed, and every test is saying, oh, they're fine, there's nothing wrong with you, and they're coming to me with like nothing, no energy, and being able to give these remedies, and within 1 month seeing people just turn around and say, oh no, I'm fine, that symptom's gone, that's gone, oh yeah, no, I'm not having any. It's amazing. And that is just homeopathy. I do a little bit of heart support, a little bit of supplementary support to get the physical terrain strong again, because it's had a bit of a knock to it. But I think it's really the dynamic medicines that are shifting things and moving things out of the way that should not be there.
Exactly. Now, the vaccine reactions, we've seen all sorts of different things. And, there's the shingles. Shingles seems to be going around at the moment, which I think is just a side effect of the shot. But, there's things even much worse than that. I've had a few clients as well that, I've just had such bad reactions. And then anyway, how have you treated it in clinic?
Yeah, so I am I would say I'm a very simple, causative prescriber. What would you say? Causation. I love to use a lot of isopathy. So medicines made from the exact thing, i.e. a vaccine. Well. I love to use nosodes. So, bowel nosodes. I really like to say, what's happening? Let's try and clear out these blockages, and then I'll go to your constitutional. Now, some people find constitutional is a nice way to get the body going, but I love Maury's stuff. So I do love drainage, and I love the idea of giving, low potencies to really help support the physical body. But I have found unfortunately, I have seen so many reactions. Now, that is something that I do kind of tend to specialize in a little bit, or I don't know if you say specialize. I just see a lot of people come to me with these things. I'm like, oh, I think I'm specializing in this now. So I do see a lot of vaccine reactions. I always have. So vaccine reactions are not new to me at all, just not in such an older group, because I've been treating childhood vaccine reactions since the beginning of my career, since I graduated. And I ran my dad's clinic for 10 years. So I got to witness that also and see how dad treated vaccine damaged children for years. So vaccine damage is no shock. It's been around, and it will continue to be around until there's no longer vaccines, which will probably never be. So, and we've been managing them. But these reactions was just seen on such a large scale because they've forced everyone tried their best to force everyone to get them. And majority of people got them. So, we've been out. That's why we're probably very busy. So, yeah, it's, and I always like to say, I'm not, like I said, I'm very pro-choice. So it's not against anyone who's listening to this who's had a vaccine. I'm not saying this to frighten you or to say you shouldn't have got it. You've got to do whatever sits best with you. But in terms of people who have reacted, it's really important that everyone knows that there's so much stuff out there to clear them. You don't have to be living in this, post-vaccine syndrome that everyone's going into in this, and your health doesn't have to be lowered. It can be bounced right back. So the very first thing that we did after everyone had their vaccines, and what I really encouraged everyone to do, was to do the clearing from the day of the vaccine. So that's what we were doing. And the remedies we used, there was a series of remedies we used. Feel free to contact me directly if you ever want to know that. It's not something that I should say, but let's just say they were similar to isopathy.
Yes.
Isopathic in nature, I'll say that.
Yeah.
But yes, they're not necessarily remedies that people would appreciate. Not everyone would appreciate these remedies. So, but we used a series of remedies to help clear out the specific vaccine. So each vaccine had its own, let's just say, a combo of remedies that worked. And it was phenomenal. So we used the Boothus, which I had originally chatted about.
Yeah.
And that was to clear the spike protein. So we used the Boothus 3200. So that's Boothus Australia. So the potency of scorpion, which was amazing. A lot of people had great relief from their acute symptoms. So when first getting it, so like the weird menstrual stuff, the headaches, the cramping, there was a bit of a picture of just symptoms when people first had it, feeling pretty crappy, a bit tired. That's all fine. But it was the aftermath of the people who are sensitive, because only a sensitive person is going to react to it. That's why so many people got it and were like, oh, no, I feel fine, totally fine. And we pray that they will stay totally fine. But a lot of people, unfortunately, are sensitive, and there's a lot of ingredients in these vaccines. It's not like, oh, it's just a Pfizer drop. What goes into a vaccine is many ingredients. And so, of course, there's going to be people who are allergic or sensitive to a particular ingredient. And so some people went into horrible reactions. So without going to, of all the vaccines, probably the most common one that I treated was the Pfizer. Now, maybe that's because it was the most common one out there. I haven't actually treated a Novavax reaction yet. I'm sure they're out there, but I personally haven't. Astra, I've had quite a few at the beginning, and Moderna, maybe just one or two. But certainly with the Pfizer, I did really see a lot of people, unfortunately, starting to get quite unwell afterwards. So, and I will say I've had a few cases now where the doctors, the specialists, have actually written post-Pfizer POTS or whatever the symptom is in their reports. So they're starting to admit it, which is great to have it on paper, and I'm keeping them. But so they're actually writing post-Pfizer and the condition that's been occurred. So it's I can say this, and this is why I can talk about this. There's no hiding vaccine damage. It's everywhere. And the government will admit to it too. Everyone admits to it. The vaccine manufacturers, they just say, well, they always go risk benefit. And they say, well, only if a few people die or get sick, well, at least we're saving the masses. Now, that's fine if you're happy to be like that. I'm not going to risk
that
myself.
helps you to sleep at night.
Yeah, I'm maybe a bit more selfish. I'm like, sorry, I don't want to risk myself for people I don't know. No, that's terrible. But I'm like, yeah, if that, whatever works for you, really. But yeah, so we can talk about the we can't always say exactly what remedies and where we get those remedies from, but we certainly can, everyone can admit that this vaccine has killed people and has permanently damaged people, and potentially the potential, well, we don't know yet, do we? So we will find out, watch this space. So what I was doing is essentially the day of the jab, I was getting people to do a 1-month protocol. Every day taking a different remedy and ascending up in potency, and people did beautifully, absolutely beautifully. And they did it after every single jab, and I will say not a single person, and there was quite a few who did that protocol, not a single person ended up with long-lasting reactions. I've never had to treat anyone, but that same protocol I've used with people who have come to me months after, now even longer, with damage, who are somehow find their way through chiropractors and naturopath. People just sort of trickle down to the homeopath. We're like at the bottom, but they find us eventually. They trickle down. They're like, oh, I'll go see a homeopath. So they have actually eventually found us, and doing just that 1-month protocol, in most people, at least 80% of their symptoms gone.
Amazing.
Absolutely gone. And I was like, the power of isopathy. So I have been feeling so blessed that these remedies are working. I'm like, oh, thank God, because it's such a nice, and people, you know, were putting pregnancy, like fertility on hold. They were putting life, well, they had to put life on hold, you know. I had a person who worked in a hospital who took a long time to get to me, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And he finally, you know, had to admit it, and his colleagues had to admit it. And yes, we managed in 1 month to get him almost back on track, and he walked down the aisle, and it's all good. So it was, and a few people who, like, as you've probably seen, it's amazing, the turnaround. So it is definitely not something, but you do need to shift it at a energetic level. And the one thing I will say, I am going to start recommending, and I've been able to watch my husband, so he's my little guinea pig, as sad as that makes me, but he found that a lot of his friends and colleagues started getting their boosters, their third shot, and all of a sudden he started getting all these heart conditions. He had 2 shots of Pfizer to keep his job, and to keep his shop going. And so they ended up, when everyone was starting to get these boosters, he started to get all this spike protein flaring. And I was like, oh no. So I made him do the whole month again. And he even had, where the injections was, he had these very strange bruises, like basically the lymph nodes were bruising and coming to the surface.
Oh, wow.
And when he got COVID, of course, he got COVID like every vaccinated person does. When he got, and unvaccinated, we all get it. It's just a virus.
I feel like that one
thing.
person that doesn't get the joke, you know, if you're in a room full of people, someone tells a joke, everyone laughs, and there's that one person that's not laughing because they don't get it. I'm that person.
Are you that person? Good
I'm
on
that
you.
person.
Well, then I also say who knows, because we might have had it years ago. And you know what?
Who knows? Yeah.
Coronavirus, the actual virus, is very old and common. So you could have been passed antibodies from your grandmother, you know, who
maybe,
knows?
yeah. My husband and kids have all had it. I think I'm just too busy like helping everyone else. I don't have time to
your remedies are just too good, maybe.
But that's what I also think. I think the frequency of just being around it all is maybe, I don't know. I probably jinx myself now.
I'm knocking on wood for you right now.
Yeah.
My daughter didn't get it. So we did that classic thing where we're like, haven't traveled in 2 years, let's go fly on a plane. And of course, my husband caught it on the plane. I was like, oh gosh, why? Why am I traveling with this man? And so we all got it. But, you know, I was very blessed. I hate to say it because I treat so many people who have these horrible cases, but like they're sick for weeks and can't get out of bed. Okay, I had a headache, took Bryonia, and it was fine. But my daughter didn't get it at all. She was in a hotel room with us. So some people are just never going to get it, like every disease.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've probably got, you know, immunity in all these fabulous ways. Or, you know, we're just not as sensitive to that particular strain. So, yeah, good on you for not getting it. But
I had to laugh. Have you heard of that TEETH acronym? Tried everything else, try homeopathy.
Oh, really? Oh, gosh. Why not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But no, so what I've been doing, going back to my husband getting this flare up, I've been making him redid the whole 1 month. So I've realized that I think we're going to have to, so anyone who's had the vaccine is going to have to do that protocol, the detox, whichever way your homeopath has given it to you. And I would say we've all got very similar remedies.
Same, but different.
But different. They're sort of, but they usually have at least a common ingredient in them, and which are probably not meant to have common ingredient in them. And I think everyone needs to repeat it every year, just to do whether it's, you know, I do, you know, 30C, 200, 1M, 10M. I don't muck around with this one. So normally when people are having like childhood vaccines, I do a potency of say MMR vaccine.
Yeah.
And I'll give it in a 30C 2 hours after the little kitty jab, and then twice a week for 2 weeks. And I just leave it at that. And that's normally all I need. If I see a reaction, then I keep going up, 200, 1M, 10M, very, very cease therapy type, but I individualize it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But with this one, I didn't muck around waiting to see. I just went all the way up and left it at that. And I did find that and it does go deep. You know, we're talking very dynamic DNA and RNA. It's very dynamic in its nature. It vibrates at a very different level to a bone or to, you know, it's very dynamic. So I found that in a lot of people, it wasn't until they got to the 10Ms and the 1Ms that they started to feel it lifting, and their very real physical symptoms stopped. Like there was one
Amazing.
guy who at the very beginning with, I think, Astra, and that was really when I went, oh my gosh, this is powerful stuff. It had switched on a gene of rheumatoid arthritis. So he was in agonizing pain joints. And I'm pretty, is it Dexam? It's
Mira is what
like
they often use for
rheumatoid arthritis.
rheumatoid. Yeah.
It's like a chemo drug, essentially. And very dangerous drug and very strong. And look, chemo drugs are amazing if you have something, you know, like cancer that needs to be actually wiped out. And we also have remedies.
Yeah.
But they basically said, oh, you know, looks like you got rheumatoid arthritis. He's like, I don't have rheumatoid arthritis. He goes, I've just had a funny reaction since I've had this vaccine, and now I can't even walk up the hill. And I thought, okay, let's do it. I just got my remedies. I was very excited. And I was like, yeah, I can try them on somebody. And so we went through all the potencies, cured, absolutely gone, like it switched off the gene, because he got sent to me from a fabulous chiropractor up in Mount Macedon, and said, no, let's not take that drug. Let's just wait a minute, see what we can do. Let's do a little clearing, and then we'll come back and return. And that, by giving him the potencies, certain potencies, it was cleared. And I was like, wow. And he was wow. He was like, gosh, I thought I was going to have to basically be on these drugs for the rest of my life. And in the course of a month, gone. So they are powerful. So if anyone you know has had these reactions, contact your homeopath, because we've all been, I would say every homeopath's doing it now. And I would say every homeopath's getting pretty good reactions.
Yeah, results. So, before the vaccine came out, there were so many homeopaths I know in our professional groups that would say, oh no, you know, homeopathy, like this is too far for homeopathy. It's DNA stuff. It's changing the DNA. We can't change it back once you've done that. You know, I don't know how much homeopathy is going to be able to help. There were so many homeopaths that was so skeptical. And it was really interesting to see.
It's funny the doubt that they put in their mind.
It was funny the doubt they had in their
I was excited. I was like, I can't wait to try
homeopathy is so much more. It's energy medicine. It's so much more powerful than. Yeah, definitely. I actually use the remedy made from DNA and RNA in a few mixes that I use as well. And that was very interesting. We've just got so many tools. Like that's,
oh my gosh,
you know,
too many sometimes. That's what gets overwhelming. That's why I like. You do have to just keep it simple, don't you? Because there's so many available. And when you hearing all these remedies, you're saying, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get them in. But then you've just got to stick with what works with you, because energetically, you're going to be vibrating. Even homeopaths vibrate at a different level. So there's some remedies that we're going to feel more drawn to. But at the end of the day, and this is what makes homeopathy so tricky sometimes, they all work. That's God.
That is literally exactly what I feel.
It's almost annoying.
It is. It
but
really
amazing.
is.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, I feel so much of it sometimes. It's the intention behind it, because I feel like you can. If you could somehow clone like 10 people and then give them different remedies, I think all of them will do good, like to a point, as long as the homeopath that they spoke to have, you know, built that good rapport, they've gotten their symptoms, and there's a remedy that on some level you could justify would fit this person.
100%.
That whole experience of speaking 100%. To your homeopath is so healing in itself. I just had a text just this week saying, I feel so much better after speaking with you, and she hasn't even got her remedies yet. You know,
I love that.
Yeah, that's always
well
nice.
You know, they did the research, and the placebo effect is 30%. And look, that was a long time ago. I remember hearing that. It's funny what you remember from uni. I remember hearing that from uni. 30% of your of getting better is actually from your mind, is a placebo. And that's with all medicines across the board. So it is powerful. Like that rapport and that energetic exchange is powerful. And I think that's what a lot of people have struggled with doing Zooms and phone, like from being in lockdown for so long. And I know that there's some cases that I didn't. So those cases that you wake up thinking about at night that I just didn't cure. Oh, I said the word cure. There we go. That I just didn't cure, because I do cure, as much as the TGA doesn't want me to say that. Because I think I didn't get to meet them. I didn't get to sit across from them and get a feeling, you know, that there was some cases I would like, just come here. But it's also a blessing to be able to treat all over Australia, all over the world, you know, with our remedies. But there are a couple that I thought, yes, if I would have had them sitting next to me, crying in front of me,
Mm.
me trying not to cry from their story being so intense. I know I've got this like FOSS thing. I'm like, oh, I should take FOSS before every case. I know.
Vernix is another good one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And it's always a tricky. God, I'm going so off topic. It is a tricky one, you know.
I'm chatting
you
with
get
you.
those,
I thought we'll just talk and see what happens.
You get those cases and the story's just so moving and really touches your heart, and you just think, I just want to cry with this person, but of course you don't. It's quite unprofessional. I know some homeopaths say they do, but I don't know. I'm a Capricorn, I think. No, just, you know,
always say
hand them a tissue.
I'm never happy in a consult unless somebody's cried, preferably the client and not me. Because when clients start tearing up in a consult, they often will apologize, and then I'll tell them this little joke, and then, you know, that will kind of like just make it a little bit lighthearted. But the only time I ever cried in a consultation and not the client was when she told me this the most horrible, horrific birth story I've ever heard, basically of the doctors saying that they're going to call the Child Protection Services if she doesn't allow them to give this child this vaccine and formula. She wanted to breastfeed, and they were like, no, he has to have formula. They wouldn't even let her have a try, and just risked calling the child services. And they just did the most horrible things. And like years later, she was still in massive post-traumatic stress, and I just like burst out crying. Like I was thinking, how in Australia, how like what type of person?
Gosh,
it was in Australia. Like what type of person would do that to a mother who's just had already a traumatic birth, and then all this happens.
Yeah.
Anyways. So we covered remedies for you know, but basically we can help you whether it's COVID that you have or reaction to the COVID jab. Anything, we have remedies that can help you. What's the message that you want people to get out of today?
No, that's really it as well. Like, you know, I am such a big believer, obviously, in preventative health. So I think, you know, what my dad always says is that, you know, our current medical system is a disease management system, whereas natural medicine, we want to make a health creation system. So we are all about creating health rather than managing disease. So the biggest thing with all of this, and it's a shame it didn't, you know, we weren't able to like really put this out there, is that if everyone was like looking after their health, then we all got through it. But for people who had to get the vaccines or chose to get the vaccines or wanted to get them, but has, you know, become unwell, or not even unwell, but just doesn't quite feel themselves or feels like their health has gone down a bit, there is amazing, simple, inexpensive remedies out there. You know, supplements, unfortunately, as powerful and beautiful as they are, can be quite expensive. So not everyone can afford to get, you know, amazing NAC and all these different supplements, but homeopathics are very inexpensive. And so, you know, and their shelf life is amazing, and they can last for years and treat the whole family, you know what I mean? So yeah, there really is something there. You know, it's a bit taboo to talk about, and there is the shame of having COVID, or a lot of people were felt ashamed to get the vaccine because they didn't want to get it. So there is this funny shame thing around the disease and the vaccine and everything, or even not getting it or getting it. So there is definitely something there to help you, and it's actually a lot more simpler than you probably think.
And I was chatting with somebody today, and, you know, my feeling is that if you want to talk about freedom, what true freedom means, I think true freedom for me is to be healthy. Like if you are sick, if you're unwell, if you're stuck to having to take medication every day, or you don't have good energy during the day because you're unwell, or you have a pain somewhere that's bothering you, or you can't eat certain foods at a beautiful occasion because you know you'll have to run to the bathroom, like that's not freedom. Freedom is when you are truly healthy and in charge of your own health, and that means not having to go to having to go to a doctor every 3 months to get a script for your drug. That's not freedom. You're tied into that. Having a homeopathic remedy that you can take in your own time and your own space to keep you healthy and strong, like that to me is true freedom. And I hope that I think so much good has come out of COVID. I think a lot of people have woken up that wouldn't otherwise have woken up. We have found, you know, better ways of doing things, like Zoom is now just acceptable. It's really funny. My husband started a new job just before COVID hit, and his boss said, there's no way you're working from home. next week lockdown, and he had worked from home ever since. He's now working with me, so it's not a problem. But that was, just that people could expand their mind. Oh yeah, you can actually do this from home. You don't need to travel 100 kilometers a day. And then people now wanting to find better solutions for their health. They don't want to be tied to the drugs. They want to know how they can help themselves. The other thing that COVID was great for is you couldn't physically go into a doctor's office. You had to go telehealth. You couldn't often go into a lot of parents didn't want to take their kids to the hospital because you'd have to mask up, you'd have to show papers, all these things. So people are like, I don't want to do that. How can I help myself at home? How can I treat myself at home so I don't have to go and mask up and make my child experience all these people with masks and things all around them and all this fear and hysteria? Yeah. Well, that's where homeopathy comes in. Empower yourself at home to use these remedies.
Yes. And a little homeopathic first aid kit is just, how amazing have they been for treating?
Amazing.
And most of particularly with COVID, most of those remedies that we used are in a basic first aid kit that all homeopaths offer. So it is. And what you said, that was beautifully said. I think freedom, like health equals freedom. It really does. Yeah,
and before
it was very well
said. You gave us a recipe for a persistent cough mix in
episode
episode 23.
Sounds very similar to my COVID.
Yeah, that was good. There's the basilinum and the penicillin. The other one you had, I think, falciparum things. But just literally this week, I'm like, I was tired and I'm like, my son's got a cough. I'm like, that's it. I'm giving you Leiah's remedy, and it worked. My son's like, Mummy, that was so good. It just took away. So I just had to tell you, huge kudos for you. I
know my blends. I'm so cheeky.
I love blends. They work
so beautifully. I think we were too taught, and you've got to go for the simplex and, find the remedy. It's almost like, the way I was taught is like lazy prescribing.
Exactly.
But it's not. Some things are very dynamic, and you need a couple of, little tweaks from here and there to work.
There's intention that goes into creating those blends, because I have actually created 70 blends.
Wow. And we are blend buddies.
We are. And I like to use a lot of blends, because I've got some naturopathic training as well. So I will use herbs, but in homeopathic potency. So I've got like a brain memory mix, and it's got ginkgo and ginseng and rosemary, all in like a 6x potency.
Such a good idea.
And I say to my clients, put 2 pillules in your water bottle, shake it and drink it throughout the day if you're studying for exams, or I've got a stress and energy mix. It's got ashwagandha and with Withania and ashwagandha is the same thing. Hey, there's another one that's one of those herbs, those adaptogenic herbs, 6x potency. Put them in a blend. Anyway,
beautiful. No,
that can probably go into another episode.
Oh yes, our top blends. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I think blends are great.
Leiah, is there a final message you want to leave with our listeners, and how they can go hold of you, or anything else that you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, so I am about to get very busy with the Health Australia party. So I have to do a little campaign note for myself.
Yay.
I will be running in this year's state election for Health Australia party in the northern metro area, because I just think it's not that I want to be spending all day with people in suits who bicker like idiots. I just absolutely think it is time for change, and we need to go to that health creation, that system, our system. We need to join these systems, and we need some initiatives to start jumping in so we can have preventative health, and people can put our government can finally, you think this would have taught them, put money into preventative health. So yes, for all you Victorians watching this, Health Australia Party, it's something I never thought I would be doing, but I'm turning 40 next year, and I was like, I better put it on the list, so I would do anything to see some change, because I want my kiddies to grow up. Exactly. I don't want them, because they're most likely going to go through a pandemic in their life of some sort. And I would hate for this to happen to them. So we need to push for change, and don't think voting a small party won't do anything, because we're never going to get in. It makes a huge difference. So the Health Australia Party is the party to support natural medicine. We're not anti-vax. Of course, when they see my name and my dad's name, they're like, oh, it must be anti-vax. I'm like, no, this is about natural medicine and getting it at the forefront, getting respect, and getting people to understand the power of preventative medicine as opposed to disease management, which is, put a bit of money into us, it will make a much happier world. So yes, just going to put that little campaign
Amazing. And I love that saying, if not now, when? And if not you,
Yes.
then who? Or if
Oh,
not, yeah.
beautiful.
So I applaud you for doing
Thank
that. I think
you.
it's amazing,
See
Leiah.
how it
And
goes.
yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much for you always share so openly, like you're so willing to share your remedies and the ways that you do things. I mean, your dad has that same energy where
Thank
it's just
you.
so open and sharing and giving, that whole, expansive mindset that you guys have. I just absolutely love, and we need more of that in homeopathy and more of that in the world. So thank you so much for your time. It
Thank
was wonderful
you.
to speak with you.
Always love speaking to you as well. Thank you.
See ya.